May I come in, sir?
आइए
May I come in, sir? Good evening, sir. Good evening, ma'am.
प्रांजल आइए बैठ.
Good evening, sir.
प्रांजल, your medium of interview is English or Hindi?
It's English, sir.
English. Okay, very good. What is your optional, Pranjal?
Sir, commerce and accountancy.
Commerce and accountancy. Okay. And when is your interview scheduled?
Sir, 6th of March.
6th of March. Is this your first interview in UPSC?
Yes, sir.
And is it your first attempt?
Sir, this is my 4th attempt.
4th attempt. Okay, okay. Very good. Pranjal, your name is very interesting, but little intriguing also to me. Word is very, it fascinates me. So what is the meaning of this word, Pranjal?
Sir, as Pranjal says that Pran and Jal, so it means a soul to the life. That is Jal to the Pran, or the soul to the life, or the one that who completes us, or who tries to bring meaning into someone's life who has not been fulfilled yet.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Very good.
Sublime meaning.
Your father is Vinod Jain,
Yes, sir.
mother is Anju Jain. Your father's profession is accountant.
Yes, sir.
And, okay, is he working in some organization?
Sir, he has his own accounting firm.
Okay, okay, okay. And your mother is teaching.
Yes, sir.
Where, in college or school?
Sir, in Delhi University, Department of Commerce.
Achha, which college?
Sir, she is in Department of Commerce, not associated
In
with the
Delhi
college.
University.
Yes, sir.
Oh, wonderful. So accountancy and commerce is in your genes and blood, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
And rightfully you have also done BCom honors,
Yes, sir.
2018, then CA in 2018 again, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So after 2018, all these 4 years, what have you been doing?
Sir, I have been doing two things. First, primarily, I have been preparing for this examination, and to keep my skills refreshed, I have been practicing as a chartered accountant and advising mainly my father and my relatives who need some any kind of professional advice when it comes to either taxation or when it comes to the mergers and acquisitions aspect, wherein I had some kinds of hands-on experience when I was pursuing CA.
Okay, okay, okay. And you live in Paschim Bihar, Delhi.
Yes, sir.
But then one question which immediately comes to mind, commerce, accountancy and CA shape very, very, niche areas, isn't it? And with tremendous prospects, you see. So why civil service doesn't fit into this, doesn't come into this DNA, you see? How do you justify that?
So there are primarily two reasons. First of all, sir, I believe that representing
थोड़ा जोर से बोलो बेटा.
Sir, I believe that representing our country's interest at national and international level is a matter of highest prestige for a citizen. And secondly, sir, that it's my personality that I like to take up some challenging and diverse roles, which I have seen that can be fulfilled in civil services. And the kind of leadership responsibilities that I have had the opportunity to play in the past also makes me feel interested to pursue civil services.
In Hansraj Model School, 10th and where is this school located?
Sir, it's in West Delhi and Punjabi Bagh area.
There is this one best paper award for research on NEP. What is NEP? Can you give me 2, 3, 4 highlights of NEP? What way is it, a step forward from the earlier NEP?
Sir, the National Education Policy 2022 was brought in to reform the 1986 NEP policy and to highlight some prominent features. So first of all is the provision to establish foreign university campuses in India, and as well as to have a more collaboration when it comes to between the Indian universities and the foreign universities. Second is, sir, the provision of instructions in mother tongue or the 3-language formula, which is suggestive in nature for the states. Third is, sir, the aspect of 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 model, which inculcates from nursery to 12th class in a holistic manner. And last, sir, it proposes to establish a system known as Academic Bank of Credits, ABC, wherein we have a multiple entry and multiple exit option, so that if I am pursuing, let's say I am in the second year of my graduation, and for some reason I am unable to pursue my studies, and after a few years I want to come back, I can come back right from that very level where I left, and it will not be a loss of years for me. And so from 1986 model, it has been a reformative step, and also it has been in the line of present requirements. Like, just to emphasize, it focuses upon research, and it states that our research ecosystem should be developed. So that kind of impetus has been provided in the NEP 2020.
With this kind of an NEP and now foreign universities coming, where do you see India in 2047 after 100 years of our independence in terms of education, in terms of scientific advancement, technologically, and maybe even politically, internationally? Where do you see India is standing in 2047?
So I see India to become a leader when it comes to the research ecosystem. I see that we will be the first country in the world to have the highest number of patents, to have the highest number of inventions and in terms of intellectual property. Secondly, sir, in the field of science and technology, I see that India will be the major leader when it comes to the renewable energy aspect, especially, sir, in terms of electric vehicles and the policy of green hydrogen and nuclear fusion. Thirdly, sir, when it comes to overall foreign policy and working of the global order, I believe that India will be the country that will be managing diverse interest in the multilateral forums as well as at the UN. And so when it comes to overall infrastructural development or the global development, I believe that the Indian economy will be accommodating not only our national interest, but will also be accommodating global interest when it comes to...
Okay. Now tell me one thing, we are talking of technologically, all this artificial intelligence, then Internet of Things, blockchain, so many things, drone technology, every day new technologies are coming. By 2047, what kind of a role will be left for the individual human beings? Or are we going to be totally governed, 24 hours morning when you get up to night when you sleep, only by gadgets and robots and all that?
So I see that technology has positives and negatives as both sides of the same coin. And I see, sir, that it will be up to us. That on the one hand, technology will be there to reform what we have been doing and also to aid and assist in doing things which we could not even think of. Like, sir, a few decades back, even mobile phone technology, just thinking that if someone is sitting in Gujarat and talking to a person in Kolkata, it was nothing less than a marvel and a magic. And sir, if today we see that we see the cases of smartphone addiction, we see that youth is being more addicted to technology. And coming to the future, technologies like AI, robotics, machine learning, Internet of Things, while they will assist us in doing wonderful things like improving our standard of living, maybe even undertaking some inventions in the space technology. But yes, that will have an impact, and it will be more onus upon those regulators or the elders in the society, even the parents.
But even the regulators may be driven only by technology, you say?
Sir, technology, in my opinion, may not have the potential to replace humanity. The human touch is the imperative, and that will be the one that will be driving technology and not the vice versa.
Okay, thank you.
Pranjal, you just mentioned in the very beginning that you advise your parents and your friends about taxation, how to file taxes and all that. And also, I think real estate management or something, no?
So, mergers and acquisitions.
Mergers and acquisitions, okay. So, do you feel that our present taxation system necessitates reforms?
Sir, our present taxation system in terms of direct tax and as well as indirect tax has certain unique features when it comes to a country like ours. While it has been able to cater into the diverse interest, like for the manufacturers, for consumers, for rich persons, for poor persons, however, it is in need of reforms. Firstly, sir, when it comes to the taxation scheme, Section 115 BSc introduced an alternative tax regime, and now for individuals we have two kinds of taxation systems, slab rates. However, sir, that scheme may require a kind of a relook, and we may also implement the kind of learning that we have taken from that scheme. Secondly, sir, when it comes to the personal exemption limit of rupees 2.5 lakhs, that may require certain kind of rationalization. As we are advancing, if we see the American taxation system, they do not have an exemption limit at all. So we may look upon rationalizing that limit. And thirdly, sir, I believe that the most important point could be simplifying the tax structure for the common citizens, and which may be brought through the system of direct tax code.
Pranjal, you mentioned about the American taxation system, that they don't have this minimum limit like in India we have, you said 2.5 lakhs. But I find it's quite the Americans themselves, they don't find their taxation policy too acceptable. They don't like it so much. They say they are taxed very heavily, and but you gave that example. Why?
Sir, I think that as we are moving from being a developing to a developed economy, and taxation is one aspect which highlights our level of development. And with that example, I tried to signify that we are in a need of rationalizing that limit, which has stayed kind of constant for the past few assessment years.
Why not bring more people into the tax net, because we have not been able to do that.
Sir, even as the data shows that we have very low number of people filing income tax returns and very few people who actually pay taxes. And that has been an effort of the government to increase the tax base. And that is also we require, that is also reflected in terms of tax to GDP ratios as well. And sir, it is imperative that if there has been a kind of tax evasion, tax avoidance, that needs to be strictly looked upon, and tax based should be increased, sir.
Can you suggest some concrete measures for increasing the tax base?
Sir, bringing up with the new Vivad Se Vishwas scheme, or bringing up with a reformed concrete kind of Benami transaction law that we had recently. Secondly, sir, coming up with the direct tax code that will have a kind of simplified structures. Thirdly, sir, to curb the unethical practices being undertaken by tax professionals, and to reduce any kind of tax avoidance or evasions that we have been seeing.
A little while ago, you talked about the World Economic Order. I think I heard you. So do you think, for example, the IMF and World Bank are representative of the interest of the developing countries?
Sir, IMF and World Bank or the Bretton Woods twins, they are in a need of reforms. Particularly, sir, the voting structure needs to be reformed so that the developing countries have more say. And sir, expanding the discussion to UN as well, the norms structure proposed by India is specifically on the lines that such multilateral structures are in the need of reforms, that they should not represent any kind of polarized interest of, let's say, of very few countries. And the very reason of bringing up with new banks like Asian Development Bank or New Development Bank, that was the reason that some countries felt.
BRICS, for example, you think you mentioned.
Yes,
you
sir.
Forgot, yeah.
So it's the New Development Bank of the also called the BRICS Bank, rightly mentioned out, sir. One of the reasons was also that the existing institutions have been unable to cater to the interest of the emerging economies.
But what do we do? I mean, they are not being reformed.
So that is why we need the more geostrategic presence of India at the international order. The mere presence
Getting
of
a permanent seat in the Security Council, you mean, or?
Yes, I was coming to that aspect.
So where do you stand there?
So we have been making sincere efforts. We have been making the existing the countries to realize the need for reforms and the need to have a country like India at the permanent seat. And so the very reformation of international institutions can be again cited as one of the important reasons that why India should be granted a permanent
Who
seat.
is standing in the way?
Sir, on a lighter note, even when we see in a family that the senior person has to share or the father has to share power with the son, the father may feel that the power is losing from my hand. And so similarly at the international level, the countries who have power, they may feel that they might lose out the power.
You know, for that matter, I think Germany should be there, isn't it? Germany should be there in the Security Council.
Sir, the 4 countries or the G4 that we say, including Germany, India, Japan and Brazil, they have been citing out that we should be there, but as if someone will be there to lift you up, they will be your very close people who will be right there to bring you down. So there are what we say the coffee club or the 4 countries who have been trying to oppose like Pakistan, Argentina, Italy. They have been trying to oppose the efforts of the G4 countries.
Just my last question to you, Pranjal. You know, how is the Indian economy faring according to you now?
So the Indian economy has shown resilience when it comes to other emerging economies, especially at the times of present macroeconomic volatility. We have been facing the pressure when it comes to the volatility created by Russia-Ukraine war, when it comes to the continuous 7 times rate hikes by the US Fed, and even when it comes to the continuous pullout of money by the foreign investors. However, we have seen that even if our current account deficit touches 4% of GDP, even when our inflationary targets exceed 6% beyond our limits, we have shown a kind of resilience that our economy has strong fundamentals. When it comes to the monetary policy measures, we are there to increase the rates hike as and when as it is necessary. We are there to manage our exports and imports base. And sir, even our stock markets have been showing a kind of resilience level, like Sensex hovering around 60,000 points. We have shown that we are not a fragile economy that may fail when it comes to.
Why are our foreign exchange reserves going down a little?
So one of the reasons has been the continuous pullout by the foreign investors. And when we compound that aspect with the continuous rate hike by the Fed, we saw that.
Are you not buying dollars?
Yes. I was coming to that only, sir. So, sir, that led to continuous depreciation when it comes to the foreign exchange rate. And in order to maintain a kind of stability, RBI had been undertaking open market operations, which involves buying and selling of dollars. And that is one of the reasons that our foreign exchange reserves fell to about $550. And secondly, sir, that just like I stressed upon current account deficit touching about 4% of GDP. That is also one of the reasons of falling our foreign forex.
Thank you, Pranjal.
Yes,
Mr. Pranjal, Pravasi Bharatiya Divas 2023, where and when it is being observed?
sir, I'm not exactly sure, sir.
Okay, otherwise you know about Pravasi Bharatiya
Yes,
Divas.
sir.
What
Yes,
for it is celebrated, observed?
Sir, it is observed to maintain the kind of the excellence that our diaspora has received and to draw back their attention that they should be connected with the country.
Okay, so it is being observed in Indore. Huh? Anyway, what is the theme if you have heard about it?
Sir, I'm not sure.
Okay, no problem. So, Mr. Jain, what is Santhara?
So, Santhara in the Jain community, it means, in layman terms, it means self-death, that the Jain monk may avoid consuming food and may feel that it is the time to take up his life through hunger and through fasting.
What is the difference between active euthanasia and passive euthanasia?
Sir, as per my limited understanding, active euthanasia may mean that we are imposing or we are injecting certain kind of stimulant so as to end the life. Or in kind of passive euthanasia, it may mean that we stop the kind of medication. But I'll also check some more. I'm unable to
does
explain
right to
clearly.
life include right to die?
So that aspect of Article 21 has been touched upon by the Supreme Court. And
So what did Honorable Supreme Court say related with that?
sir, in that particular case, right to life involves the right to die as well. And passive euthanasia may be allowed in terms of the particular circumstances under consideration.
Okay, what do you know about Mahatma Hansraj?
So Mahatma Hansraj had been associated with the DAV philosophy, and he had been following the principles of Dayanand Saraswati. And by the time that Dayanand Saraswati left this world, Mahatma Hansraj believed that his work on education should be spread out, and he established schools and colleges so as to promote inclusive education for everybody.
Okay, 101st Amendment in the Constitution, what it was related with?
So the 101st Amendment was brought to introduce GST.
Okay, what was the need to have an amendment in this regard for introduction of GST?
So first of all, the very aspect of taxation disturbs, it handles the federalism, the financial federalism aspects between the center and the states. Secondly, sir, it dealt with the sharing of revenues between the center and the states. Accordingly, we needed not only constitution.
Okay, good enough. In how many articles amendments were made under this particular constitutional amendment 101st?
Sir, I'm not sure about the number of articles.
Can you name some?
Yes, sir. Sir, the one was related to the GST Council, Article 279A. Another was an enabling provision under
Perhaps there
Article.
were 5. Anyway, how many you can recall out of that? Yeah. Please go ahead. Good.
Sir, another was the enabling provision in Article 269A, which enabled the provision of charging a tax called the Goods and Services Tax. And others, they were around this chapter, around 279A, which dealt with the GST Council, but I will check, sir.
What is this e-way bill?
Sir, as per the GST provision, whenever there is a movement of goods from the factory within the city, intra-city, as well as
Good
inter-
enough. And NSO's assessment regarding GDP for the current financial year, that is 22-23.
Sir, I am not exactly aware, but I am
You
reasonably.
know NSO, it stands for?
National Statistical Office, sir.
Okay, so recent assessment related with GDP for the current financial year.
Sir, I'm not exactly
GDP
aware
growth.
about the details, but I'm reasonably aware.
Are you aware of GDP growth in the last financial year? What exactly it was?
Sir, I'm not exactly sure about the number.
Okay, my last question. After enactment of Fugitive Economic Offenders Act, an amendment was also made in the Companies Act. What exactly that amendment was and under which section of the Companies Act?
Sir, I will not be able to recall exactly, but can I tell you what?
Anyway, it was 132 perhaps, and clause 1 was added related with that in that particular amendment. So, what exactly the amendment was?
Sir, I will.
An authority was created, an independent authority. What was that authority? Now, can you recall?
I'm very sorry, sir.
NFRA, can you recall?
Yes, sir. Now I
So
can
full form of
completely recall.
NFRA is?
Sir, I can now recall. That's National Financial Reporting Authority, sir.
Reporting, na? We are regulating.
Regulating, sir. I'm
No,
really sorry.
reporting. National Financial Reporting Authority, not Regulatory Authority. Anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Corruption is an integral part of our economy. I mean, you cannot wish it away. What are the mechanisms available for checking corruption, either through parliamentary means or extra parliamentary means? What are the checking mechanisms available?
Ma'am, first of all, we have the legal provisions, like when it comes to the Prevention of Corruption Act, when it comes to the vigilance infrastructure, when it comes to the establishing overall transparency even the latest initiative like CP Grams portal of the government. And ma'am, right now the initiative to curb corruption has been to empower the citizens to freely discuss and to freely raise awareness about the corruption practices. And ma'am, we have been moving towards creating more transparent structure and removing any kind of opaqueness.
What are the parliamentary mechanisms available through parliament? I mean, what are the means of checking corruption of the ruling dispensation? What is it? Is
Ma'am,
there any mechanism available through parliament?
Ma'am, if we are talking about, just to clarify, are we talking about the parliamentary discussions?
No, I am not speaking about I am speaking about the mechanisms available for checking corruption. If you don't know, I can tell you.
Yes.
Public Accounts Committee, for example.
Okay, ma'am.
It takes care of the accounts of the finances of the central government, and same with the state level also. At the state level also we have Public Accounts Committee. Then who is the one who is auditing all the reports?
Ma'am, the parliamentarians are the ones.
No, I am asking about central government and the state government.
Ma'am, are we referring to CAG?
Yes. I mean, why are you hesitating? CAG is the, the eyes and ear of the central
And
government.
CAG is also called as the supreme audit institution of the country.
But why you should come out with that,
Yes,
Then at the state level?
Ma'am, at the state level as well, the CAG undertakes.
Okay, accountant general. The other one is a CAG. Then what other mechanisms are available at the central and state level? We have a replication of the same thing, both the levels.
Ma'am, the parliament or...
No, you have to clearly think about it. Don't give vague answers. Give correct, focused answer.
Ma'am, I will check about it again.
Central Vigilance Commissioner, CVC. What is he for?
Ma'am, can you please repeat?
CVC,
Ma'am,
Central Vigilance Commissioner.
Ma'am, Central Vigilance Commission was established as per the recommendation of Santhanam Committee and...
No, that is okay. But what does it do?
Ma'am, it looks after the kinds of corruption activity or...
So you see, that is one of the mechanisms available. CAG is another. Public Accounts Committee of the Parliament. It also can go into the details of corruption, etc. If somebody then...
And ma'am, one aspect...
Another thing. What is the most important thing which is not functional in India? But tell me. What
Lokpal.
It is? Lokpal, yes. Lokayukt and Lokpal, both can be of this thing. Now, coming to our budget, don't you think it is a bit centralized?
Ma'am, the very nature of the Indian economy has been, and if we say that if we say that the budget is centralized, we have been trying to work upon that image, ma'am. There are so many kinds of public consultations. The Institute of Chartered Accountants especially makes recommendations when it comes to the tax aspects, and there is a lot of...
I don't want you to take the government line. You come to your own line. You tell me, frankly, what do you feel about the budget? I mean, citizens' point of view. What is it?
Ma'am, I believe that the budget...
Central budget is a good thing, this thing. I mean, do you think delegation and decentralization are two virtuous tools, useful tools? Should it be there or not?
Ma'am, when it comes to the sharing of aspects, the role of Finance Commission has been there to look after delegation and decentralization. And when it comes to the planning aspect, ma'am, at the national level and to cater to the interest of the national economy, certain kind of centralization is needed. However, ma'am, there is no absolute centralization. That if there is no consultation, there is an opaque process. That is not the case.
Is there any scope for further decentralization and delegation? That's all I am asking you, in your opinion. Because you are an auditor, you are looking at it from a different point of view than all of us. So, I mean, you belong to a new generation, not to the old generation, So, do you have any new viewpoint as far as can we do things in a better way, in a new way? Somebody has to think about it,
Ma'am, we can digitize that process. And when it comes to the budgetary making, we have a process of asking for public consultations or the representations from the society. we can digitize that aspect, that who is actually making such kind of suggestion and why was it not actually either accepted.
Yeah, okay. Don't you feel somewhat awkward that the finance minister carrying a briefcase and coming and reading out a budget for 1.5 years instead of making a small digital presentation on the key factors and releasing the remaining whatever unimportant things to the public? I mean, that is one way of looking at it, you know. I'm not saying about this government or that government, generally about governments. I mean, that kind of new way of thinking is possible, you know. Anyway, that is up to you. Now you have been an auditor. You have been auditing firms perhaps. You have been advising, or perhaps you have seen your seniors doing it. What are the 4-5 features that a business should follow to be a successful business concern? What are the 4 key points for a business to be successful?
Ma'am, the first point is to strengthen upon the corporate governance aspect.
No, you're speaking generally. I want focused. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Ma'am, the first point is to understand the regulatory aspects and...
Okay, that can be taken as one. But...
Ma'am, the second point is to undertake business ethics.
No, do you simply take up some business? What are the things which you will do before taking up a business? Suppose you are going to start a new business and you are the auditor, you are called and you are asked to advise me how I should start. How do you go about it? Just 4 points. Just 4 points. Don't want to go into the details. Just 4 points.
Ma'am, first of all, to understand the kind of markets, to understand your target consumers,
yeah,
to really understand and what gap are you really trying to fulfill.
You are coming to the processes, you know. I am asking you the points, 4-5 points, which a business concern has to take care of in order to be successful in a competitive world, you know. It has to compete. So what are the assets, you know?
Ma'am, as far as I can think of, first the most important point may be the point of value creation. That is that business really adding any kind of value?
No, what you say is correct. I don't dispute. I will, in short, I will say, should have a vision. See, the business should know what it is ultimately going to do. Should have a vision. Should have a strategy. Strategy vis-a-vis other similar companies. And how will you get over competition? Frugality. See, you have to count every penny. You see, you are an auditor. You will tell the business, don't throw away money here and there, but concentrate on frugality and strategy. You know, you should have a proper strategy. I am like this, you know, you have to pinpoint out what are the things which a business concern needs in this world.
Ma'am, these were as you rightly mentioned, these are the points that a business should take into consideration.
You think about more points, whatever little I can. I am not good at mathematics at all, nor at business, but you know, out of common sense, I am telling you all these
And
things.
ma'am, the point of value creation, ma'am, flows from the point of strategies. That, ma'am, let's say that if we see all around us, there is cutthroat competition. We take any kind of example, ma'am. A company will grow, another company will acquire it if it sees it's profitable or not.
Yeah.
So, what I mean to say by value creation is that I see that as one of the sole factors that will allow a new enterprise to really work in the Indian markets. Even when we talked about the ride-sharing apps, that why is it that only a handful of 2 or 3 companies are there which have captured the Indian markets?
Okay. Lastly, cooperatives. Amit Shah is now, Home Minister, is now promoting the sector, cooperative sector, which is a very good thing. Do you think cooperatives have a future in Indian economy?
Ma'am, cooperatives have a very relevant future, and cooperatives are the one that can really drive out our rural economy.
Then what is the change of framework which is required to make cooperatives functional? Last question.
Ma'am, the first of all is to the complete compliance with the constitutional provisions of facilitating cooperatives. The very setup of Ministry of Cooperatives to supply credit to the cooperatives.
all this will be possible if only certain structural changes are made, you know. So,
Ma'am, the recent amendment in the Multi-State Cooperatives Act, that is in the line of bringing that structural amendments.
okay. You know, have you heard of something like Self-Supporting Cooperative Act?
Yes.
Have you heard about it?
Yes, ma'am.
And strangely, Bihar has brought it out, you know. Not now, years ago, it has brought it out, nobody has used it. But elections, they themselves will conduct. State will not conduct the election. They are independent. And for registration, they have to apply within 20 days. If the government doesn't give registration, it becomes automatic. This is how you free a system from governmental control. That's all. You think about it, you will get enough masala for, you know, thinking for your budget and things like that. That's all I wanted to tell
Yes,
you.
ma'am.
But, you know, be focused. You know, I mean, you have general ideas, but make it focused.
Yes,
Okay?
ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, Pranjal, so kindly wait outside, we'll call you back.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. May I come in, sir?
Come, Pranjal, sit. Yeah. Yes.
Pranjal, tell us, how did your mock go?
Sir,
Your own assessment.
I got confused that should I keep on speaking or should I stop my answer? And secondly, I was unable to think that am I able to gauge in your interest or not? That I felt.
You know, Pranjal, I'll focus on some of your very strong attributes, I would put it that way. You express yourself very well. You're very articulate. You are creating a positive impression on others. Okay? But in some areas, you lack depth. I mean, you need to know more.
Yes, sir.
You know, one of the esteemed members asked you questions related to corruption.
Yes, sir.
You know, how to stem, how to,
Yes.
root out corruption, how to curb corruption.
Yes, sir.
So your answer should have been more concise. Your answer should have been more concise, more focused. You are, taking a different direction, I think, at that point of time. That's what I could feel, So you need to focus, and you have excellent, I mean, your background is very good. You did commerce, you did chartered accountancy. So you have the right background. Your economic, background is good. You know what is happening around you. But now when is your interview scheduled?
So 6th March.
6th March. So you have some time. So given your background, you will be asked a lot of questions on the economic side.
Yes, sir.
So please focus on the economic survey, which will be out.
Yes, sir.
And also the budget would be presented by the time you go for your interview.
Yes, sir.
So study both very carefully.
Yes,
Make what they call bullet points, focus on them.
Yes,
So you will be asked questions. Taxation, because as a chartered accountant, everyone knows, like all the companies, everyone hires enlists
sir.
the services of a chartered accountant to file even a tax return. You yourself said you help people in acquisitions and mergers and things like that. So, there will be questions. Which newspaper you read, by the way?
Sir, Indian Express.
Indian Express. Who is the chief editor of Indian Express?
I
Try to find
yes,
out.
Yes, yes.
And from how many cities it is published?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
This is a very common question which is asked.
Yes, yes.
So I would like you
Yes, sir.
to know
Right.
that.
Right, sir, right.
And if you can read, I think, an economic newspaper,
Yes, sir.
maybe the Mint
Yes, sir.
or the Economic Times,
Yes,
given
sir.
your background.
Yes, sir.
And I would also request you to, read online Economist, the magazine which is published from London.
Yes, sir.
And I believe it is also available in the market also, you can buy them.
Right, sir.
I believe they have an annual publication, so you can probably, buy that. It's not so expensive,
Right, sir.
but it is worth it. It contains very good articles.
Right, sir.
You will be also, one area I wanted to ask you, I forgot, about Brexit.
Yes, sir.
As you know, Britain is going through an economic crisis really, and there are analytical pieces on that in international media as to what is happening there now. Has it really helped them or not?
Okay. Right,
What are the long-term prospects?
Right, sir.
And last but not the least, I think the day you go for your interview, try to read the newspaper. You have in the morning, you have your interview in the morning or
So
in the
afternoon session, sir.
So you have time. So go through the newspaper at least for 40 to 45 minutes.
Sure, sir.
Make notes and remember.
Right, sir.
Okay. We wish you all the best, very best.
Okay.
And I'm sure we'll come out with flying colors.
Let me add something
Yes, yes,
to
ma'am.
what he said.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't want to discourage you.
No, no,
You know,
please.
it is good to have a debate with the candidate,
ma'am.
you know, so
Yes,
that he himself is aware, you know, how to go about it. Your ideas are very good, no issue about it. But only thing is that since you are in the auditing business, people will ask you questions related to corruption, control of finance, how to check the
Yes,
things,
ma'am.
etc. So be prepared and answer the questions in the shortest possible way possible. That's all. You have a good idea on things, no doubt about it. So don't think that, you know, I have discouraged you.
No, ma'am.
Please go ahead with your this thing. Okay.
Okay. Sir, one question for you. At the time when you were asking me questions, many of the questions I didn't know at all. So what perception,
So there may be some questions about which you might not be knowing, but I mean, you should remain confident only, and simply you can say that I don't know, sir.
So at the time when I was answering your questions,
नर्वस नहीं होना है, बस ये ध्यान
So
रखना है.
आपको
नहीं
क्या
पता
लगा था
नहीं
कि
पता
क्योंकि
कोई
मैं
बात
एक्चुअल में उस टाइम पे आपके पॉइंट पे मैं नर्वस हो गया था. So just I want to know
होना
कि
नहीं
आपको
है.
कैसे
वही
लगा
तो,
था.
even if you don't answer 1 or 2 or 3 questions, need not worry at all,
Okay.
because your knowledge has already been tested. It is a personality test. So you should remain that much confident as you were in other question answer session.
Right, sir.
Confident रहना है, nervous नहीं होना है. If you don't know the answer,
Right.
need not worry. You can simply say, "I'm not able to recall at this moment." A guess was, "Sir, can I guess? Sir, can I guess?" Not like that. It should not be like that.
Sir, but that is the perception in aspirants community.
No.
नहीं, अगर आपको करना ही है, and if you are 80-90% sure
Okay.
about the answer, then you can say,
Okay.
"Though I'm not very much sure, it is like this."
Okay.
Guess कहना बड़ा कि sir can I guess? It doesn't look nice.
You make a mistake, so what is the point?
Okay.
Because what happens in prelim? What happens? 1/3 mark is deducted.
Yes, sir.
If you attempt it wrongly.
Yes, sir.
In main, what happens? If it is absolutely wrong, hardly, I mean, you will get 0.
Right, sir.
But here what happens? Because your honesty, integrity is also being assessed. If you answer wrongly, then any number of marks, any percentage of the marks can be deducted. Many times more than prelim, many times more than your written examination.
Right, sir.
वो भी तो एक है ना क्वालिटी, गुड ब्यूरोक्रेट के लिए, अच्छे ब्यूरोक्रेट के लिए. कॉन्फिडेंस भी एक क्वालिटी है, लीडरशिप क्वालिटी भी है, इंटीग्रिटी, ऑनेस्ट, ये भी चीज़ें हैं जो कि क्वालिटी होनी चाहिए. ठीक है ना. तो अगर आप रॉन्ग आंसर देंगे, ठीक नहीं
So आपको सब मेरी परफॉर्मेंस ठीक लगी?
है.
आपको मेरी परफॉर्मेंस ठीक लगी?
नहीं,
sir?
आपको ठीक था. इनसे रिलेटेड आंसर वो संथारा सही, चाहे एक्टिव यूथेनेशिया, पैसिव यूथेनेशिया सही, सुप्रीम कोर्ट जजमेंट एंड ऑल दैट, ऐसा नहीं, ठीक तो था. NFRA ठीक है. आप वो तो आपने बता दिया फुल फॉर्म.
So मैं एक्चुअल में आपके टाइम पे मैं नर्वस हो गया था लास्ट में जब
वो अगेन आई विल से वंस अगेन, नीड नॉट बी नर्वस एट ऑल
Right, sir.
इफ यू डोंट नो, बिकॉज नोबडी कैन नो द आंसर्स ऑफ ऑल द क्वेश्चन. सोक्रेटिस कितना अच्छा फिलोसफर था, क्या कहता था? द ओनली थिंग आई नो इज आई डोंट नो एनीथिंग. तो उसके बारे में वरी नहीं करना है कि मैं आंसर नहीं दे पाया तो मैं नर्वस हो गया. नो, नॉट एट ऑल.
Do you plan to take
उतना
any
ही
more?
कॉन्फिडेंटली कहिए, सर आई डोंट नो, मैम आई डोंट नो, एज इफ इट इज आंसर ऑफ द क्वेश्चन.
Right, sir. Yes, sir.
Do you plan any more mocks now? You want to have?
So this is the first mock that I
First
have
one mock
planned.
you're having.
And
We have a couple of more mocks, maybe.
right, sir,
Mocks.
when I entered the floor, I saw that there are many options here only.
Not only here, at other places.
I don't need to go away.
Yeah.
And sir, I thought you will ask me, my first preference is IFS. So I thought you will ask some question or something from that side.
Because, I saw your background, economics background. So that's why I asked you about IMF, World Bank, BRICS, World Economic Order and all that. That's why I asked you.
Okay. And sir, for why civil services? So I gave you 2 points. My first point was that I want to represent my country's interest at the national and international level. But sir, that answer suits more towards why my preference for IFS, why I actually want to prefer IFS as my first preference. So for why civil services, do you find that was an appropriate answer?
It was okay. Actually, your DF, what is shared here, the service preferences are not given. So one
We
has
don't
to
have it, you know.
ask and then only we.
So we
होना चाहिए
really
था
don't
हमारे
know.
पास।
We were asking
वहाँ पे
you.
रहेगा UPSC में।
So we went by your DAF here.
Right, sir.
So it mentions basically your educational
Sir,
qualification.
do you have DAF 1 or DAF 2?
No, we
One
don't
और
have
two दोनों
DAF.
होना चाहिए था हमारे
But
पास।
we have only one.
इन्होंने मेल से तो नहीं भेजा।
So we really don't know.
That is mentioned in
So
DAF
that's
2.
why,
नहीं
you know,
किया, नहीं हमारे पास भी
given
mail
your
आया है।
educational background,
हमने चेक नहीं किया।
and
mail
the
आया ना
questions
सर।
are based on that.
हमने check
But I
नहीं
was kind of guessing when you
सकता है।
said that I want to represent India's interests here and abroad and all that you said. So I was guessing, but then I thought maybe, you know. So that is actually IFS was my first preference
Okay.
when I wrote the exam a long time ago, you know.
Okay. Right, sir.
But a very good candidate. You have got time.
Yes, sir.
You just sort of practice. You know, the personality test is about presenting yourself.
Right, sir.
No, so your body language, your expressions, your gestures, all these things matter, remember. While what you say, the content of that is important, but they are also looking for, and especially looking for, the attributes as a person.
Yes, sir.
You know, fitting into the civil services, whether it is foreign service, IAS, etc., etc.
So, sir, in that parameters, do I need
So
to
you
work
are
in a
very good.
specific
In
area?
fact, I think the marks wise, we thought, you know, we can give you
165,
170 or so,
65.
you see.
एक बात ध्यान रखिए कि जो भी क्वालिटीज़ एक अच्छे सिविल सर्वेंट में होनी चाहिए, पता होगा आपको, उनको अपने आंसर में ऐसा एक फिट इन करिए कि वो सब क्वालिटीज़ उसमें आंसर में कहीं ना कहीं रिफ्लेक्ट हों।
Right.
And one thing, you see, a shrewd person can lead the interview to your advantage.
Yes,
You know, so that much shrewdness and presence of mind, you see, you can exercise.
Okay.
You know, when something is asked, you can lead the next question, and you can put some keyword in your answer, which immediately, you know, triggers another question in the area, which is your favorite, you see.
Right, sir.
Okay. Otherwise, you are a very good candidate. Just work on these suggestions,
Yes, sir.
and you should be able to make.
And by the way, the focus is nowadays on economic diplomacy.
Right, sir.
So even as a diplomat,
Right, sir.
now you have to promote our economic interests more probably.
Right, sir. Right, sir. Ma'am, how did you feel?
I have already told you.
I was,
And the thing is that, you see, much of the merit lies in giving very focused answers, you know. I mean, instead of expressing all your knowledge
yes,
just in 2-3 points, you know, you should be able to contain the whole thing. So that art you have to learn, you know. So I think, you know, since you are new to it, plenty of time for you try to polish that point. Your thinking is okay, there is no problem with it. But read more about corruption and auditing, etc. They will be provoked to ask you questions on that point, because your entire background is
Yes.
what you aspire to be, that's a different thing. But these things are important. Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Sirs, thank you
Okay,
so much.
Pranjal.
All the very best,
Yeah.
Pranjal.
All the best.
प्रांजल
God
पहले
bless.
खड़े होना है और थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू मैम, थैंक यू सर।
Okay.
पहले खड़े होना है, फिर
Thank you,
थैंक्स
sir.
कहना है।
Thank you, ma'am. Sir.
All the very best.
Okay, right.
I have covered my journey watching some of you on the YouTube. So it was really a privilege for me to.
You watched us on YouTube?
Some of you have
Okay,
seen
okay,
your
okay.
past videos.
Sure, sure.
It was really an honor for me to be at that seat in front of you.
No, it was a pleasure talking to you.
Okay,
Thank
right,
you, sir.
right,
All the best.
right. Thank you.